So first off, kind of one of the things a story I was thinking a lot about, and I know I told some people already over the weekend while we were in Chicago at the memorial, was I was thinking a lot about the story of how Tom broke his heel in 2021. So obviously the pandemic sucked for like everybody. And so we were super ready to get out and actually
Last
do
time you got so
something.
many other better ones. So okay.
So
Because we've got the Yeti on.
as soon as Tom and I got oh actually hold on here. This is Michelle Byrne. Tom's mom is joining now.
They're muted.
All right, Michelle. Yes, I was just telling a story. I think I might have told you all this one before, but you will definitely know the ramifications of it because after in 2021, after the lockdown, as soon as Tom and I got vaccinated, we decided what we really wanted to do was go to Cedar Point. And Tom being such a good friend, the reason why we had set that is because I had gotten too big before the pandemic. So we went right before all lockdowns in 2019. And I had gotten so overweight that I couldn't ride on the rides. And I had to be the mom there the whole time. And so in 2020, I like in general, like right around the pandemic, like focused up and like got focused on losing a bunch of weight. And Tom was the only person who didn't see me that I told because it was, health related and I've been diagnosed with diabetes and it was like, oh, you need to change your life or you're going to die from this. And so Tom, the whole time, being just the great friend he was, the only person I told um, who wasn't actually like seeing me on a daily basis, which during the pandemic wasn't a lot of people. And Tom was cheering me on the whole time. And one thing we were kept joking about was, all right, after I lose all this weight and the world opens back up, we're going to Cedar Point. Like that's what we're gonna do is the celebration of me like changing my life, getting everything, fixing the addressing this issue. And I didn't go on the rides the last time. So Tom and I make this big plan. So we go to Cedar Point, like got to be late April of 2021, literally the first weekend they open after everything else. And so we get there and we're going to stay on the property because you stay on the property, you got to go into the parks an hour early. So like, oh, this is definitely the way to go, blah, blah. So Thursday night, we're already there. We're so hyped for this that we're there to be ready on the first day they open, the first people back on the rides. And Tom and I are drinking, hanging out in one of the hot tubs. And Tom, in typical Tom fashion, is over there, being just his charming self. And we're hanging out, we're talking with the lifeguards, and they're really friendly with us. And definitely I feel like there's some chemistry going on between Tom and the like head lifeguard. And they're like kind of flirting back and forth a little bit. And when they closed down the kids' water park that was right next to it that had an age limit on there, they're like, hey, as we close this down, do you all want to go down the slide one time? So I was like, oh yeah, this is great. So Tom goes first, goes, just the regular way, feet first. I go next, head first. And Tom, if Tom loved anything, it was a good idea. Like he was so good at noticing when there was like something that was really cool or a better way to do something. And so he became obsessed with this idea of like, oh, I know they've already shut down the kids area now, but I'm gonna go down head first. And I was like, man, I think it's okay. Like they've closed that down. And he's like, no, no, I'm gonna do it. So we're hanging out, continuing everything is going great while we're hanging out in the hot tubs. And Tom, then as they close in the hot tubs at 11 o'clock, which, good for us anyway, we got to get ready, get some sleep to hit those roller coasters. Tom decides as they force us out to go jump the fence to get into the kids area because he's going to go down that slide. So he jumps the fence immediately. The lifeguards that were like, oh, loving him, all excited, are like, what are you doing? Get back over here. Come on. And we're so disappointed and upset with him. And we walk back to our rooms, everything's fine, get up. The next morning, Tom's like, man, my foot really hurts. I don't know why my foot hurts so bad. Well, we don't realize this is we just think he bruised it or something. Turns out when Tom jumped that fence to try to go to the kids' water park, he broke his heel. So then we ended up getting into the park, and I rented him a wheelchair and put Tom in the wheelchair and pushed Tom around Cedar Point for 2 days straight. Um, but the way the world kind of seemed to work for Tom is, he could never get down too much. So he was loving it because the way we were doing it was the best way. You get it all. You didn't have to wait on the front end of any of the coasters. They were just supposed to write down the wait time at the back end, and you wait afterwards. And sometimes they didn't even write it. So we're going on tons of coasters. It's just the optimal way of experiencing this, and filled with stories itself. But then that night, Friday night, we go back to the hot tubs. All the lifeguards that were loving Tom the night before, they're like, "Oh yeah, you deserve to break your heel. This is justice for you," and not having um, any of his stuff figured out. And but there was this very I actually have a picture of this that I'll try to upload into the chat in a little bit. There was this girl with Down syndrome who was at the hot tub that night. And to make sure Tom's ego couldn't be too down, she's over there from across the way telling Tom how handsome and cute he is. And while her parents are trying to keep her over on her side of the hot tubs, and eventually she has to get it. She comes right up to Tom and is just telling him how great looking he is to make sure that his ego couldn't actually get too deflated after he made such an ass of himself. So that's kind of my story that I wanted to share to start with. Yeah, really going to open up the floor. There's no planned agenda. Nobody's expected to have to talk. I just want it to be open. If you're interested in talking and sharing stories, I'd love for you to. I'll probably jump in with a few more as well. But just want to get a chance to hear your interactions with Tom and what made him such the unforgettable guy that he was.
All right, not everyone at once. All right, my many fun Tom stories, but one of my favorites was he had been sick. It was back when we were in college. He'd been sick a while and just miserable at home. Texted me and was like, "Hey, can you have a car? Can you take me to Publix?" The guy could have walked to Publix. We were like three, 4 blocks, but he needed a ride. So I was like, okay. I'm like really busy, don't really have time for this, but kind of felt bad for him. He pulls on the heartstrings. And so I drive him to Publix and I'm figuring like he needs cough drops or like medicine, something like that. He walks in, he walks out, and all he has in his hand is like the biggest bag of sour gummy worms. And I'm like, that pulled me away from studying all the things, drove him a walking distance just so he could get his sour gummy worms. So last year for his birthday, I sent him a gift, which was a giant, like 5 pound bag of sour gummy worms. But between Florida and Chicago and some heat waves, by the time it got to him, it was just one giant melted brick of sour gummies. So him and his candy.
I could jump in with a couple. So I've lived with him his junior year, my senior year, and we probably the two. I mean, none of them are positive stories. He's just like we argued a lot, but he did a couple things that I could probably speak here that are fine. I remember very clearly the last day of the semester before everybody moved out. It was, excuse me, the 2 days before we graduated. So all the underclassmen had left. For some reason, Tom was still there. We were hanging out in Bradley Fischel's apartment. There, we're just, we're not doing much. We're just, sitting there, watching TV, having a few beers, whatever. Tom gets up after about, I don't know, half an hour, walks into Fischel's bathroom and just falls on his shower. The shower was a glass, basically a compartment, whatever. So there was no like think curtain that you moved. It was just glass. Tom fell on top of it. And you just hear as the glass is breaking. And this apartment was just a disaster for the entire semester. And it was official cleaned it up. He like got rid of all this, any kind of smells, whatever. He made sure that it was very valid to be getting his deposit back. And then Tom walks in just 2 days before graduating, breaks his shower, and results in official not getting his deposit back after everything that happened in that apartment. It was hysterical. I do not think Tom ever paid him back, which makes it even funnier. Another story that when I was living with him, there was one Fox Day we were playing Fox Day roulette where I was out for, I don't know, I came back at like 2 a.m. Before what we were expecting Fox Day. For anyone who didn't go to Rollins, Fox Day is, the class is always canceled. You wake up and you all go to the beach. And as a result, people, kind of hope that it's happening the next day and they'll prepare for it with roulette. So what we did is people were, drinking and celebrating what we were hoping was going to be the day. I come back at 2 a.m. and there's an inflatable pool in my hallway because Tom lived in my hallway walking into the room. So I see Tom and three women in bikinis wearing horse faces, like massive horse heads, that are then filling this pool with a bowl back and forth from the bathroom. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. And I couldn't fathom what was actually happening. But I always appreciated the random moments when I would come back and have no idea what to expect in my hallway. But yeah, I have plenty more, but feel free to jump in.
Yeah, definitely feel free to jump in and feel free to share ones that you don't, need to no need to censor as well. I've already talked to Tom and Michelle and they want all those memories. So
Brock, I can go. No one else wants to go.
yeah, go for it.
Hi, this is Michael. Most people know me as GT, but I was actually Tom's big in college, and I just wanted to share his paddle with everyone. If I can get rid of the Zoom blur. All right, well, let's see if I can show it. So it'll say fall 2011, and then this is my paddle GT, and then his pledge name Care Bear. Get the blur. Anyways, maybe I can show it again later if I can fix the blur there. But I wanted to share a picture of him. I knew Tom mostly in college because I was actually his new member educator. So he was the one he rushed while I was the new member educator, and he was actually like I wanted to say like basically what I saw like the epitome of a brother could be as an individual in the X Club. He was, he was very work hard and definitely very play hard, which I absolutely loved. He was I believe he was a bio major and ended up going into, illustrious career in medicine and recruiting. So, he was definitely, a shining star that was taken from us a little too early. But he also was that play hard. You guys were showing videos of him like since post college of him just having fun, continuing on, going to football games, and that's absolutely perfect man. I wanted to share a picture. Yeah, we had that too. I wanted to share a picture as well. I don't know if Brock had it, but yeah, we did go. A bunch of us went out on Sunday to Fid's and had a couple drinks in his honor. He drank on my behalf because I can't drink anymore based on all the stuff that we did together in college. So absolutely loved that he still is, doing the celeb shots for me. But yeah, no, it came as a big shock, and I'm very saddened. But at the end of the day, like he was a great guy. I was very happy that I ran into you guys in 2024 in Casino at Rollins, and we caught up a little bit then. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join you guys when you guys went with the newer guys, but definitely caught up. If you guys remember Casino. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a great time. I'm really glad that we got to do that trip. I actually grabbed Tom's alumni weekend name tag while I was up in Chicago, so that I could still have that. It was a pretty fun time. I got some stories from that one too, but want to see if there's anybody else who has Tom's stories who wants to share. Otherwise, I am more than happy to just keep on sharing stories as long as I have so many of them.
I got a good one, Brock. You don't mind me coming in?
Yeah, go for it.
It's very sad circumstances, but it's really good to see everybody here. Just Tom was just such a great guy. He was always so confident. I remember at college during the sorority serenades, and he would just get up there and rally the troops and get everyone to start singing. And the thing I'll never forget is the serenade of Miss May. That was a yearly event, and it was just something I look forward to. And she loved it, and you know, he just made everyone laugh, and it was a great time. I'll always remember that. I'll never forget that.
He
Trying to give us
he said
some more context
he
on
set
that.
the standard for that.
Yeah.
He did. He did. He
Was
really
it Build
did.
Me a Buttercup every year, or did it change?
That was like
Different song every year.
I
He
heard
was
Kiss from a
very
Rose.
specific about it. And
It must have been her
Miss May
favorite song.
loved it. It was so funny to see the preferential treatment that she would give him because he would just serenade her, every semester because he made the new guys do it with it every single year. And I jumped on with
Yeah.
him. I remember, I think my personal favorite was when we did Kiss from a Rose to Miss May. But one time I remember being down there and he goes up to the counter, and Dave's down under and gets asks for ice cream. And she like makes it for him, nothing said. The person behind him is like, actually, that's really good. Can I get an ice cream? And she's like, honey, we stopped serving ice cream at 10 o'clock. It is 10:15. I haven't served ice cream in 15 minutes.
Oh.
Only for Tom.
So I didn't get to meet Tom when he was a young man and did crazy things, but I got to meet the old soul Tom. That's the guy I got to meet who I would look at this young, cute, handsome individual and just look like, why are you hanging out with all these old guys? So that's my memory of Tom is no matter when I saw him, he had a smile on his face. No matter how sad he was, he had a smile on his face. And yet he just hung out with these old guys, and I'd be like, "What are you doing? You're a cute man. You should go out there. Go live life." And he's like, "I'm living life just the way I want to." Couldn't say anything bad about that statement. And I was like, "Well, then welcome in and let's become friends." That's how I got to know Tom.
He was always such an old soul in so many ways. I mean, I think one of the ways is just simply how off social media he has been and how much of a pain it's been to like trying to get to everybody else because like he had no interest in social media. One of his favorite things was how much shit the people at T-Mobile would give him whenever he tried to get a new phone, and he'd be like, "Give me the oldest iPhone possible." He had no interest in the new ones. He's like, the old ones did everything I needed them.
Preach on, Tom. Preach. Because I feel the same way. And sadly, I've learned how social media can be a wonderful thing through this very sad event. Because honestly, it's been great to meet people. But up to this day, I was always thinking, nope, I don't need social media. And Tom was right there with me. Nope, don't need social media.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
or a wife to run his phone so that he can talk.
Yeah.
Tom actually convinced me to put my phone in grayscale mode. It was supposed to be for like a month. I don't think I lasted 24 hours, but that's how he had his phone like all the time. Insane.
Yeah, I forget who I was talking to. But one of the things that I respected most about Tom is like Tom knew who he was. Tom knew what he liked, and you could be like, you can like come up with a plan, and he'd be like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna play some Pokemon Stadium and N64, and just stay home and have a couple beers at home." And you could not convince him to do something that he didn't want it, and that was he was always true to himself, and he was exactly, in the best way possible. He was the same guy no matter where you met him in his life.
I
Yeah, I got
100% agree with that statement. I mean, from everything that I've heard from all this talks and everything, is that Tom was always going to be comfortable in who he was. And I think that's what made everyone comfortable around Tom, is you knew you were okay around him from his own comfort level with himself. So that's, I think, what I'm going to miss most about the very short time I had, which is a couple of years, but to me, that's a short time. That's what I'm going to miss most, is the way he made me feel comfortable, even when he beat me in all our geek games again and again and again and again. And yet I still wanted to hang out with Tom, even though he would just beat me every single time. He was my friend, and I'm going to miss him a lot.
Yeah, I think he lived his life like he did in Pokemon Stadium, because he would have the same team for every single match, and we'd always
Same team
play
every
for
time.
he'd win every single time, and we'd always play for like a shot of Fireball or something along those lines. And by like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd be just hammered, and he'd be like, "Hey, another game? Like, how about let's switch over to NFL Blitz?" That was another one that he would just play deep into the night. And oh man, it was
We had
just
yeah we had an NFL Blitz one where it was you play quarters. The winner of each quarter takes one shot. The second quarter, the loser of it has to take two shots. So by that, you're taking minimum of four shots, even if you win every time. And the loser has
yeah.
to take six or eight. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolute chaos.
Yeah, I'll tell a Tom story. Here, let me share just a couple just quick photos that I pulled up too. As we were hopping on. Just managed to find these on Facebook. This was one of the Fox Day ones. Tom never liked to wear sleeves. He knew he had to show off the gun, so he wasn't a big sleeve guy in college. And then found this one from our sophomore year. I don't even know what night this was, but I think there's a couple more right. Oh, well, I went the wrong direction. Sorry, guys. There's a couple more Tom ones in here. Um, but yeah, this was, I think, our sophomore year. So anyway, but one of the stories that really sticks out to me, I think it was our junior year, and the only reason I remember this is because they were building Strong Hall at the time. They were reconstructing it. And like you said, Tom was always down. If he was in the right mood and he wanted to hang out, he was the first one to be like, "Yep, let's go grab a beer. Let's go do that." Um, and I think it was just him, James, and I that were I don't know. It was probably a Tuesday night. I don't, one of those kind of things. And we went to 7-Eleven, picked up something, whatever, and we were just like roaming around and like broke into the Strong construction lot when they were like still building it. And I mean, we just peed into the bar. Like it was something stupid like that, but like, I don't know. It was always like a yes and thing of like, oh, we should break in there. Oh, yeah. And since we're there, like, we might as well take a piss on the building. And like, I don't know. It was just silly stuff, but he was always funny there. And like James, we had a joke about James because he was like a really quiet, shy guy in X Club. And we called him the Anaconda. And we always joked about that. And I remember Tom and I, like, we were at 7-Eleven, we're like, what is that, the anaconda? Like, because anyway, that was our whole plan, was to see if we can validate the anaconda of James's. So anyway, I don't know, it's a silly story, but I just remember, he was always fun, wanted to hang out, and would always be down to do anything on a really random night. And yet he managed to always get his shit done. So I always respected that about him, is he'd always be down to hang out, but bio major was no joke, and he managed to always balance that, work hard, play hard, and he was always the first one to pick up Pong and play Pong and all that. So anyway, I'm definitely gonna miss Tom, and yeah, I think everyone said a lot of really great things, but just wanted to share that, just a story that I really resonates. Just like a really fun night doing absolutely nothing, roaming around Rollins, which I think summed up basically Rollins' life. So
Will, it's so weird seeing those pre-Jack Tom pictures because I only met Tom once he got the games. And I remember one of his favorite stories. I don't know, I'm sure you remember hearing this one. but it was when our fraternity brother Emery was on the football team. And so James Savory and Tom are going on the bus to the football game. And Tom, again, as Will pointed out, has his arms out, of course, because after he has the games, he wants to make sure everybody sees it. And this girl on the bus is like, "Are you on steroids?" And Tom's like, "Oh, no, I'm not on steroids." And then there's like our friend James right next to him. And they're like, "Oh, I know you're not on steroids." And Tom loved retelling that story every chance he got.
So I remember a story. We were at a Bears game, of course, and somebody scored a touchdown or something, and Thomas looks over, and we were talking to the people behind us. Of course, they sat behind us for like 10, 15 years. We knew them. It was like a guy and his adult adult daughter. So the girl was kind of a taller girl, not a small girl, And there was an interception or something in the game, and Thomas turns around. We're high-fiving everybody. He high-fives the girl behind us, and she falls into the row behind her. It was just the craziest thing. And I was like, Thomas, I'm like, you knocked her into the next row. And of course, he went back. He's like, I'm so sorry. I was just excited. And that's just how he was. He got excited about stuff. You guys all know that how much he loved the Bears and football and a lot of things he loved, and he loved people. He really loved it, interacting with people. And all of you guys, some of the stories that you guys are telling, I've heard already, or I've heard parts of it. And it's just, it's great to hear. It really is. And you guys, this is a nice thing you guys did here with this Zoom meeting, and I appreciate it. And I'll think of another story, and I'm going to pass the mic on to someone else. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Tom and Michelle, both for being here. I know this is so tough, but I want you all to know, everybody on this call loves Tom, and we are so lucky. And that's obviously, it's been really hard for me with all of this, but I focused on like how lucky I am to have a friend like Tom for 13 years. He was such a good guy. And I'm so glad you all are here, and we're going to make sure to keep telling these Tom stories as long as we're here.
Please do.
All right. Next,
So
go right for it.
yeah, so I'll throw one or two in here. Tom, great guy. Relatively short period of time in my life to have known Tom. Wish I had more time with him, but some very good times. Of course, the times, after English, going back to his place and playing Pokemon Stadium, to which he would always play the same team and win every time. And he was relentless in that. He always had fun with it. So I mean, the first time that the first time that I ever had deep dish pizza, Tom loved deep dish pizza, but I don't think there's a reputable place in Orlando to get deep dish pizza. Certainly not at the time. Maybe it's come some way. But he got it delivered frozen from Lou Malnati's to Orlando, and he warmed it up one day and let me have a bite. Yeah, I know. And it was good. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, so I'm not sure that there's reputable deep dish places there either. But it was delicious. And when Brock first texted me and told me that Tom had passed, one of the first things that I wanted to do, I live in New York City now, is try to find a reputable place to get a deep dish pizza. It's a little bit easier here. Still not that easy, but and get that and think of him. I do want to share probably one of my favorite stories of Tom. It's a little diabolical, but um, so he lived with two roommates his senior year, and I mean he didn't necessarily get along with either of them, but one of them he definitely had like serious disagreements with, and you know, insofar as like he would he would only have things that were like sealed food products, like cans and frozen things, so that they couldn't be sabotaged. It was that far, you know. So towards like the end of the year, Tom was like a biology major, right? And he was taking botany, I believe, and he was working out of the greenhouse. And he was saying seals, and they've got this plant, right? And if I take just a little bit of it and I grind it up and I put it in his shampoo, it will blind him just for 3 days. Just for 3 days, he'll and then his vision will come back, and I'm like, wow, that is maybe, like, will it come back to you? I think I mean, obviously, I think in the end he didn't go for that, but I thought that was something, and a lot of good memories with Tom. We went to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, with Jack and Spiegel. That was an adventure. Had a lot of really good times with Tom, and gonna miss him a whole lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He loved that New Orleans trip too. I remember him talking it up. He had a great time in New Orleans.
Hey,
Yeah.
Zach, I want to bust in and say, yeah, I know what it's like to constantly be beaten by Tom and feel okay about it. Like that's the memory I have of Tom. Here's a person that just beats you every single day, and yet somehow you consider them a friend. Wrap your brain around that one. Like, because I think all of us could feel that way about Tom. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but just
Wait,
want to put it out
I
there. Is that how we all feel?
I lost a Tom at fantasy football probably more than anybody has in our I don't
Yes.
know how many years we
Robin
played.
11.
Yeah, I mean one of his fantasy football team names is literally Robin 11 because I never beat him. Um,
But
yeah,
everybody
this
else in the
is
league that won. He beat Rob twice and won in the last place competition. Those are the only two wins he had the whole season.
Yeah, I beat Tom one time, the whole time I ever played him in anything. And we didn't believe it. We didn't believe we both just sat there going like, nah, that couldn't happen. That's Tom. That's all I think about Tom. Like even when he beats you, he's like, no, I didn't beat you. And I'm like, no, you did. But he had that smile and he just made you feel like, hey, thank you for allowing me this victory.
Then
yeah,
he would literally talk about, he'd be like, I don't know why he keeps playing with me. I need to make it more interesting.
It's so funny.
He
And if
made
you
it
ever get to
interesting by being Tom because like you showed up and
yeah.
you got to spend time with Tom. So who cares what happened in the game? It's
but if you
like,
ever get to play what was it, foosball with him, because if he was so proud of his foosball skills, he would beat anybody.
oh, I have not.
Oh,
I have
he
not,
was
but I
real good.
do.
I know that
I could
him
understand
and
that.
I know Thomas and Tom really went at it over foosball.
No doubt about it.
he
He was
used to
so
love
competitive
he
from
used to
us.
love going to bars where there were foosball tables, so that simply he could try to get like in an argument. He'd try to like get an argument with somebody and challenge them to foosball and then beat them.
Yeah, to bring back a little bit to connect these 2 points about just being with Tom is great. When I went to the New Orleans trip, um, we were staying. I think it was Zach's cousin's house, or I believe, or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, cousin's
So we're
cousin's
we're staying
girlfriend's
in
house.
the yeah in the basement, and I was a pledge at the time, and so I guess I didn't know the part of the pledge description was drink when someone's ready to drink, no matter how early it is, and then between drinks, you also have to respect the house that you're staying in, and you have to be the one cleaning up everything. So not only did we stay out going out late, they also woke whoever got up first woke me up early to help to drink with them as well as clean up the place that we were staying at. And then also, I didn't know how cold it is in New Orleans. So I was like freezing cold the entire time. I had one light sweatshirt. The last day was raining, but with all that going on, it was still a legendary experience and one of the craziest best trips that I'll definitely remember for a long, long time. And Tom, I mean Zach and Jack, I think Jack's here as well. I mean, it was a great trip, and then I it's always one of those memories, one of those trips I took with Tom that I'll remember for a long time, long time.
Big time, man. Agreed.
Hey guys, just wanted to chime in here real quick before I have to hop off. Um, Zach, you had mentioned the house that Tom lived in his senior year. So that was, I believe, 404 Holt Avenue. Um, that was our first real party house for the fraternity that was relatively close to campus. Um, so for that year, I mean, the three of them, Tom, Dre, and Emery, they really were selfless in the sense of they put up with so much shit just so that everyone else in the fraternity can have a great time every weekend. We would come out there, whether it's a small group or a large party. And they really opened up their house just so that everyone in the fraternity can have the true college experience. And I didn't really fully realize that sacrifice until, you know, the following year where myself, Alan, and Jeet, we became the party house. And we had to deal with all the bullshit that entails, whether that's having to deal with the police getting called for noise ordinance or just people leaving the house disgusting after a party. It was truly a great selfless act just to be that host and bring that environment for everyone to really experience college. So that's going to be my everlasting memory of Tom. And obviously, one other item is that I don't, over the past several years after college, I don't think there's been a situation where we've collectively gotten together like this, right? So I know every year Rollins hosts Alumni Weekend, and I'm sure there's always a group that goes back to relive the college glory days. But this is probably the only experience I can recall in the last several years where we've had so many brothers, just reconnecting, right? I'll send text messages to a couple guys just because of the events that happened, just to say, hey, man, I haven't talked to you in a while, and hope we don't lose contact. And I think that's one of the biggest things I'll take away from this experience is seeing some of these guys on this call that I myself haven't reached out to in several years, but it makes me want to change all that and change that behavior for sure. So I do credit Tom a lot for that, and I want his memory to live on. And hopefully this next coming year, then I'll be at Alumni Weekend just to relive it in his memory.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be there for the 10-year this year. So definitely bring up his memory as well.
Tom always loved a gathering, and so I know I've shared this with a few people already, but one of the things that Tom really started tradition-wise that I'm really thankful for, and I know he was really proud of, that he really loved, was one, the fantasy football league that he dominated in, winning 4 championships. His name is all over that trophy, and after I won my one, I used to joke about how long it would take me to ever even have a shot of catching him in overall championships. But also, he did the football trips. And so Jack, Rob, Farron, and I got the chance to go on football trips. And I know that some of you have come out for some of those. Spiegel, I was just thinking about. I told that train story over the weekend, and I was looking at some of the pictures I have of Tom with his ripped pants from that trip. But I did want to share with this group as well is that I'm going to figure it out, and I've already talked to Rob, Jack, and Farron about this. But next year we're going to tailgate a Bears game with the Byrnes in Tom's honor. And so if you all, we're going to try to find a date. I'm going to try to find a date around the anniversary. So if you all want an excuse to get together and be able to celebrate Tom and really what Tom loved, which was getting people together, even if you're not a big, football fan, even if it's just for the tailgate, there's nothing Tom loved more than tailgating in a parking lot, and I think that'd be a great way to join us in honoring him next year if you all can make it.
I'm gonna start saving now because the Bears are definitely gonna be in the playoffs next year. So we gotta like get our money together for this.
Tom would still be taking the under.
No, no, and I would fight him to this day.
He never thought the hope. He only did it a few times. He thought that Bale's hope, and he always regretted it.
And that's why Tom keeps beating you at things, is he takes the under.
Yeah, the last time we went to a Bears game in Chicago, we did that. I think that was the third year we did it. It was 8 years ago, I want to say, 2017, I believe. The Bears won, which was like shocking. They were not supposed to be great, and they came out and won. And Tom's leaving the stadium screaming at the people behind us because he's got in a fight about who is a better wide receiver between Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey. Like they almost got into blows, like they almost had an actual fist fight as they were celebrating a win. So even the fact that like he was happy and like excited for the Bears, the priority in my opinion, of his life was arguing about sports, which I was very happy to see.
Oh, he loved nothing more than being right. It was always a great time. And making fun of him for like it not believing in the Bears was always hilarious. I remember one year, Tom and I went to a Bears game, and I picked up. They were playing. The Bears were playing the Carolina Panthers, and I picked up the Bears defense because they were free. They were not wavered on any rosters in fantasy football. Just so that when I was playing Tom while we're watching the Bears went on to have a historic game. Then they scored like 40 some points in fantasy football. And I got to tell everybody in the stadium that Tom didn't believe in the Bears. This Bears fan, not a believer. He used to have picked up the Bears defense and had no interest.
That is great.
Yeah, I will say those football trips that he planned, like, or he started planning and everybody jumped in as it went on. But those were like really good and important because when you have an adult friend in a different city, you see them once or twice a year. That's a lot. So it meant a lot to do it, and it wasn't always easy to get to. Like one time we went to Kansas City, he took like an 11-hour Greyhound bus that broke down, and there were people like fighting. I don't know why he took a Greyhound. It was it was like $12 or something like that. But the Amtrak's 8 hours. I don't know how long the Greyhound takes.
I can tell you why he took the Greyhound.
Why did it?
It's because I don't know when he was booking the flight, but he booked for the wrong day. He booked a month off and realized the day before the trip. So the flights were insanely expensive. So all he could do was book a 12-hour Greyhound bus there and back. And he used to just say all the time, he's like, oh man, no, that's how. It's not worth the price difference. It's like that was the worst punishment he could imagine on anyone.
I think the only time Tom liked to be wrong was when it came to the Bears. He might make the right fantasy football call. He might like talk bad about him, but we knew in his heart he would always be happy if the Bears did good.
That's the truth.
I was joking with him so much because he kept saying that the Bears messes up with Caleb Williams that he'd stop being a Bears fan. And all I can think is now is like, man, all he did was just force everybody else to be Bears fans now. I don't care about the Bears, but now they're my secondary team because of Tom.
Well, I know this is a little sad to say out loud, but I'm going to say it. One of the very first things I thought when I heard Tom was not with us anymore was I really hoped and prayed that he got to see a 4-touchdown game. And we all know the outcome, and it's truly sad. But, man, I know Tom, and I know Tom would have loved to see a 4-touchdown Caleb Williams Bears win game.
But I won't believe that it's not just because he made that happen. He went and talked to the sports gods.
Yes,
that's exactly what he's doing. They're the reason the Bears are 2-0 since he died, and it's because he's up there, getting the scale tipped a little bit in the Bears' favors.
Well, I'll say this: I'm all in on going to see a Bears game. All jokes aside, with costs and everything, we'll tailgate and we'll be there.
He would have said the game wouldn't have counted because they were playing the Cowboys and they're playing against Eberflus, so he would have just said, "Nope, not a real win. Not a real win."
That's the first thing we would have heard.
Yep, that is 100% the first thing I would have heard from his mouth when he came into the office Monday morning would have been, That's not a win. We can
Nope.
put that in the tie column.
Yeah. Nope.
Not going to count.
Nope. You guys are you're all high on your bear stuff. Nope. Mm-mm.
That's great.
Hey, I wanted to jump on here real quick. So, Matt, I appreciate you jumping in here. Brock, you've been awesome narrating everything. This has been so hard for Planet Pharma, like college, right? Tom transitioned to the real world. It's been really hard to lose Tom. Tom was literally my best friend. And I sat next to him. And Brock, you got to come into the office last week and get to see like where he sat and do everything. It sucks. It sucks hard. And I appreciate everyone being on here and just getting to hear stories. It makes me feel a lot better about who he was and just to hear everything. And I know we got more people from our team on here. We got Carly on here. We got Meg. We got Val. He was loved a lot.
I'm so glad you all are here, and I know that he might not have always loved the work at Planet Pharma, but he always loved the people he was working with, and that was so clear and evident. And I think about, talking about the countdown to the NFL season from the beginning that he would do, all the Grinch stuff. I remember if you haven't seen it, we'll have to share photos. He went downtown to the downtown office for his cicada outfit when he was dressed like a cicada. What was that? It's cicada catcher, I guess, because he loved those so much, and he really loved working there. And I was like with you all, so it was really cool to be able to see where he worked and know that he was having a great time, because that was Tom. He was always going to have a great time anywhere he was.
Yeah, our job wasn't easy. Nails are still painted. How are yours? Did you take them off?
I peeled them off. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I took them all
Brock,
off.
Did you take them off? Oh, you took them off.
I know. I took them all off.
Yeah. No, I kept them on. And I actually
came off at Brando's Speakeasy.
I actually might keep the routine up.
I love it.
Nick, I don't know how often I'm going to do it, but I promise you, for that game we tailgate next season, my nails will be painted. And when we go on this football trip, my nails will be painted. So
there we go.
I'm gonna have to be talking about Tom all the time.
There we go. Yeah, our favorite thing was messaging, and his favorite thing to respond was like the nails emoji. Like Caleb Williams, the nails emoji. He always joked about, like, we always made bets. Like, if the Bears did this or like a certain team did this, we would go and get manicures or pedicures. And I just knew that Tom actually wanted to go get a manicure. 100%. 100%. It never, the bets
for the excuse.
The bets never happened. It never panned out. But just like, I know deep down he wanted some fresh nails, just like these.
Oh, love it.
He wanted
that so much. Oh, he definitely did.
He wanted them. And Tom and Michelle, I appreciate you guys being on here. It's been tough for us as an office just to kind of adjusting with everything. We can't even imagine what you guys are going through. Brock came into the office. If you guys ever wanted to come in and see like where Tom worked, we would welcome that.
Thank you. We would like that.
Yeah, he
Definitely
would. And if you guys ever wanted to, I know you have connections through Planet Pharma about phone numbers and everything. If you ever wanted to do that, like come down and see us. I'd like to get to meet you guys.
That'd be great. That would mean a lot to us.
Yes, thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you guys, could I share my number with you guys?
Yeah, please do.
I can share afterwards.
Yeah, Brock, would
you? Nick, I'll give you their numbers.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah,
and Michelle said her number too.
Yeah, I'll make sure. And anybody who wants their numbers, like feel free to, as long as you are okay with it, text me, and I'm more than happy to share them. I think everybody has my cell phone number in here, except for but I have some connection, so I have Nick. I'll get them to you.
But I hope we can get back to like college stories and like fun stories.
Oh yeah.
We had a lot of fun at work, but I just wanted to introduce work because that was Tom, right? He had to work and he was
Did
a
he
very,
actually
very hard worker.
did he actually do anything at work? Because I have a LinkedIn with like 20 taco messages from Taco Bell, full on advertisements, like applications to start working there. And I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm sure he was just bored, but they're all during the workday, and that's clearly when he was on
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
I don't think he worked either. I'm pretty sure. He
You
had
know,
like his Warhammer that he was doing, and his fantasy football, and then somewhere a little work got done.
so the hard part for me as the manager was balancing him being one of my best friends and him being like a hard worker, right?
I'm sure he did plenty on the and when he wasn't saying you're talking about, but yeah.
But isn't that classic Tom where like you never actually see him doing the work, but it got done at some point.
Yeah, it got done.
Like,
and that's
Just
all
like
that
college.
matters.
We never saw him working, but he somehow got the work done.
well, and that's Brock had shared that book of stories from like the work colleagues, and one of the best things about reading it and like hearing the college stories and like thinking about those stories is like Tom's just always been the same person, like life of the party in college, life of the party at work. And I was like almost jealous that like I work 100% remote and don't interact with colleagues and like as much fun as you all had. And like there's pictures of like non-work things. I'm like, whoa, people hang out with people they work with. That's so wild. But of course he did, you know. Of
And
course
I
there were
remember, I
nights
remember even when he had the apartment in Chicago, him doing the reverse commute because he wanted to keep working at the Deerfield office.
yeah. Yeah. And too, like I think I know more about his coworkers, all like nicknames. I don't know any of your actual names, but like Nick, when I got to like put together like the squash pumpkin, but like he talks about you all the time and like cared about you as people and shared that quite a bit. And so it's been nice to like put names and faces to things.
Cassie, I literally looked like that as a child, and then somehow I aged and got brown hair. He has
Yeah.
the cutest blonde hair. Oh my gosh, so cute. But yeah, no, our pumpkins. Brock, you got to see Tom's desk. We've been putting things on his desk to remember him. So I picked a pumpkin. I started to grow pumpkins last year, continued it on to this year. Picked a pumpkin, put it on his desk. And everyone's just been memorializing him and putting different things to remember him.
Well, he was definitely betting against you on the pumpkin success, just so you know. We talked about last year and this year. He's like, I wonder if he's going to have any more success manually helping out and playing matchmaker with his squash plants. So I'm
you got to play God out there.
Yeah.
With pumpkins. You actually have to manually like pollinate them.
Yeah.
But I got to throw the nickname out there because I mean, I think he secretly liked it, but he also hated it. But like Tom Tucker. I won't get into that. I wasn't there. I don't really remember that story. It was our freshman year. Maybe Tyler does. Tyler might remember that.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that.
I was like second
But
hand.
A few stories I know of.
Yeah, Tom the Tucker. I know. Yeah, he lovingly. I think he was all right with it, but he also like wasn't his favorite nickname. But anyway,
Glass, I was going to ask you, do you remember his other freshman nickname, which was, I mean, it was lovable. It was just Drunk Tom because it was like the experience in Ward Hall of the third floor bathroom of like, you would go to the bathroom at like 11 o'clock at night on a Wednesday and there would be Tom, the, friendly bathroom attendant, probably like half drunk and just start up a conversation with you. So that was my first experience with Tom.
He was very friendly, very friendly. Yeah. Drunk Tom, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, you just start up a conversation. Third floor Ward Hall bathroom, and I could be wrong, Glass, but was he even on the third floor? I don't think he was.
I don't know. He might have bounced around. I think he was at one point, but I think everybody moved around in that war, like our freshman year. So I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
it was just so funny. Didn't know him, just striking up conversations with him in the bathroom. And then he came to rush the fraternity and it definitely came up as conversation. Like, oh my God, it's Drunk Tom. I love that guy. I talked to him in the bathroom.
Yeah. Right, you always knew, yeah, drunk Tom. And then what was it, Jigglypuff? Was that the Smash? Was that what he was it Jigglypuff? Is that his go-to for Smash when we play? Anyway, but yeah, sorry, I had to pull out the Tommy Tucker.
Well, I love that one, and I love the same with when he had that McGibley, Mr.
Giblets.
McGiblets, Mr.
That's what I was
McGiblets,
thinking when you said
from the
Jigglypuff.
Yeah,
league.
yeah, Tom and Quan love that thing. The two of them.
Uh-huh.
Does somebody have a
Yeah.
picture of that handy?
I was actively trying to find it, and I was trying to get Brock to see if he could find it. But there's, I know there's pictures of me in it with Will, but I couldn't find the pictures of me in it with Tom. So that's been a little bit of a hard find. But I'm gonna dig through the hard drive.
Yeah, please do it. And on your photos, like if you have those, like I have a Dropbox created, but also like feel free to just send them to me as well. Like anything you have Tom related, I'd love any and all pictures because I want to put everything into that book so everybody can see it. And I'll make a virtual version available for everybody else, but I'll make that physical copy for the Burns.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm,
I will make
I'm
you one.
Glass, I'm glad you brought up, or no, Brock, I think you had brought up McGiblets. Glass, you said Jigglypuff, but that was definitely one of my core memories. I may not remember it exactly right, but if you guys remember, Tom having his love affair with Miss May and really wanting us to go and serenade her. I don't know if it was him in the McGiblets suit singing or a pledge. I can't exactly remember who. But for those
Spiegel,
of you who didn't go to Rollins College,
Spiegel.
there was Spiegel was in it? Who did you say?
I
Uh,
believe Spiegel
Yeah,
can. Spiegel
that
can.
that
was
you?
me. When we
Oh,
did Build Me a Buttercup. That was his senior year. I was in the McGiblets costume.
so for context, and guys, feel free to chime in too. Before they redid the downstairs dining area at Rollins, there was a late night spot that was open probably till 1 or 2 a.m. where you could get milkshakes, you could get chicken fingers, you could get burgers, just greasy food. And there was a lovable lady there that probably worked there for, I don't know, 30 plus years named Miss May. Very strong Southern accent. A lot of people were afraid of her, especially freshmen. She wasn't the nicest, but she loved Tom. And Tom always wanted pledges to go and serenade her. And I think that's part of why he got free milkshakes. So that was part of the pledging process to go and do that. And then in the McGiblet suits, that's a great memory I have. And
He
then
was so sad that she wasn't working she was still works there when we went to alumni weekend in 2024, but she wasn't there because he really wanted to serenade her again.
Yeah, she works like daytime now. She doesn't work the night shift anymore. They gave her a better shift.
uh,
Brock, if you don't mind, I actually remember that story. So Tom was a pledge when he's pledging year, he had randomly decided that he wanted to serenade someone. So in tradition, every single year, fraternity would start serenading sororities, and Tom came up with this great idea. He's like, "What if we serenade Miss May?" And I remember when he came with it, he was like, "Tom, that's actually really funny." When we had like 5 beers in us, and as we started to sober up, I'm thinking like, "Tom, that's maybe not a good idea. Maybe she finds it offensive. Maybe just not a good idea." Tom's like, "No, I really want to do it." And so next thing I know, I look up and Tom has stood up and he's gotten three of his other pledge brothers, and they all start singing the loudest version you've ever heard of "Let's Get It On" by Marvin Gaye for Miss May. And he's singing it from the top of his lungs, belting it out as best as he can. And I remember looking over Miss May and she has the biggest smile on her face. And she absolutely loved every second of it. And from then it became a tradition. And it was just like, for me, it was like, if I think about Tom, that's one of the memories that comes to mind. It's like Tom leading everybody else and having a great time, being himself, his authentic self, spreading so much love and joy for everyone around him. And yeah, I mean, I just always think of Tom with a smile on his face and bringing smiles to everyone around him. And to me, that story will always stay with me, and that tradition of Tom bringing that love will always stay with me too.
Thank you.
I'll
Hey,
jump
Brock,
on. Oh, go
oh,
ahead, Nick.
no, you go ahead, Carly.
Okay. Nick was me and Tom's manager. We worked in the office together. I know that all of us from Planet Pharma love seeing Rose on the camera. Just because when we weren't in the office, Rose was always on our videos with us. But yeah, I worked right across I'm really bad at storytelling, but me and Tom's desks were right across from each other. We had dividers, but we were always talking. And I wanted to share this story because it happened probably like less than 2 months ago. We all know he loves Culver's, but especially the Critter Burger, which is out right now. So if you live near Culver's, definitely go get the Critter Burger because he had his football countdown. Then when that ended, he started his Critter Burger countdown. And what was it, Nick? Like less than 2 months ago, he was standing up and he was talking about how excited he was about it. And he was actually like blushing. And I like look up at him and I'm like, dude, you are blushing about a burger. This man, he's not blushing about a girl, he's blushing about a burger. And that's how I'll remember Tom. And then he really wanted to get these, and I just found them. And so I'm definitely gonna send them your to the parents, obviously. But yeah, he really wanted one of these, so I got you guys one and I'll ship it your way.
Thank you so much.
He was so excited about the later hosen. He texted me about that too. He was like,
Yes.
we have a Curtis with later hosen.
I just sold out my Culvers of them, but yeah, I got a good amount of them and I will send one your guys' way. He really
But-
wanted one and I know he'll be happy for you guys to have it.
But just a second, what Carly's saying here, like we would talk to Tom in the office about girls, like, oh, is there any potential ladies in your life? He didn't care. But we start talking about like the Curter Burger, and it was just like he would just start blushing. Like he couldn't look the other way. And that was so Tom. So funny.
I don't see Jen Jokel on the call, but I heard this story secondhand over
How come I can't hear him, Michelle?
over the funeral, during the funeral, and so I wanted to share it with you all because I thought it was so funny to hear the origin story of Tom and burgers. He was visiting Jen Jokel in Pittsburgh, and Jen was like, "Oh, Tom's a really picky eater." So she tells her parents, like, "Hey, he's a really picky eater. You should make something simple like a burger." Somehow, Jen didn't realize that Tom was a vegetarian up until that point. But being the nice boyfriend, he sat there and ate a burger because he didn't want to insult his girlfriend's mom's food. And that was the first ever burger that he had.
Yeah.
And
As a
then,
vegetarian.
what was that? Yeah, as a vegetarian. As a vegetarian, because he didn't want to end up insulting her. And it reminds me of two of my favorite. Tom told me about the 2 times he upset his mom the most. One, he told me about, and I know Michelle shared this during her great speech during the memorial, was about when he came back and told her that he was eating meat. And the quote Tom is like, "Oh, you would have thought I came back and told her that I'd been shooting up heroin in college." And how disappointed Michelle was with him eating meat after being a vegetarian for that long. And then the other time he told me that he had really disappointed Michelle was when he came back and told her that people at school, in anticipation of his college girlfriend for the first start of college, Jen, coming to Chicago, he had told Michelle that people in college called him Tom, not Thomas. Oh my and God. How she just was so upset. He couldn't believe that he was called Tom. He was called Tom in college.
Yeah, that is so true.
Michelle, we can't hear you. Oh. That's great.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly chime in. I worked with Tom, and going back to what Cassie said, actually, I work remote at Planet Pharma. I live probably like an hour and a half from Deerfield, so sometimes Tom would make me come down to Illinois. As a Wisconsinite, you know how we feel about you Illinois people, but because of Tom, I always came down. And the reason I love Tom so much, there's so many reasons, but me and him talked almost every single day. just his love for football. And as a female sports fan, usually I'm just my insight and my takes aren't really taken seriously. And he would just always hear me out and listen to me. And another reason I love Tom so much is he's probably the most realistic Bears fan, going back to what you guys all said. As a Packers fan, it was just nice to talk to a Bears fan that was realistic. And, you know, I'm really going to miss Sundays and just reflecting on Monday about the games and talking about it, whether it be the Packers or the Bears. And Michelle, I know you're a Packers fan, so definitely need to stay in touch this season. So, but I'm going to miss him so much. And yeah, I'd even as a Packers fan, I'd be happy to join the Bears tailgate if you guys would let me. I know you guys aren't.
I'd love to have you there. I want as many people who can be there to, you know, show their love for Tom. So you're absolutely welcome, Val.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, this was awesome, Brock, putting this together, and he was so loved at Planet Pharma, and I'll miss him so much. So thank you for putting this together. It's nice hearing from you guys.
Of course. I mean,
Thank you so much, Bill.
I can't imagine a more Tom thing than, you know, using this to get together, because he loved connecting with people, even if he always kept his Planet Pharma people a little separate. Didn't tell you all the stories that he would get from his football trips to not be too embarrassed.
So I wanted to share, or I wanted to ask Tom and Michelle. He shared a story, and you probably remember it, but one of my favorite things that he told us about growing up was when he was wanting to go to a different school that you guys than what you guys had wanted him to go to.
Oh, I know part of this one.
Was this shared already?
No, please share it, Dan.
Okay, so he and he always, I mean, Tom's way of saying just quick story. It was always quick story, but they were never quick, right? So like the amount of detail that he threw in there, like the story could have been done in, you know, a couple minutes, but it was never done in a couple minutes. But he told us that he wanted to go to a school that was kind of like it was a several train rides to get to that school, and you guys were like, this isn't going to work, like this, no, we're not going to. But one morning you guys were like, all right, let's do the route. You'll see how crazy it is, and you'll not want to do it. And that day was the Christmas train was running around, and that was the one that you guys got on in the morning. And he was just like, this is the best. Like, if this is how this is going to go, this is awesome. Like, yeah, we can do this. And he just said the look on your face, Tom, that it was just like,
oh,
this is not how this was supposed to go. And like, it's just so great.
You got me again.
He loved telling that story. I heard it from him before. He loved it so much. How he just like, you're expecting to have this horrible commute. He's like, oh, this is pretty nice.
Just any time he was right, which unfortunately was all the time. Those were his favorite stories.
That train ride, there were elves giving us directions on where to go. They were handing candy out on the CTA. It was ridiculous.
That's so awesome. I wanted to share, and I think when I met you guys at the memorial, I live in Indianapolis. I come up, I try to get up as, you know, as best I can. I have two little ones at home, and you know, I hate leaving, you know, my wife Jen at home with the two kids, and so I try to get up as much as possible. But I mean, he was a lot of the reason why I came. And just we do karaoke, and he's just life of the party, right? Like, loved it. And going to this place that this girl Pam was just like, she's just the queen of karaoke, and like she goes there every Thursday or whatever. She hits that place, and then there's another day of the week that she hits another karaoke bar. But like, so she goes all out. And the first time we never knew of this girl Pam, and like she got up there and she sang Evanescence, Bring Me to Life, or whatever that song is. And she like left the stage. She was like working the crowd. She was singing like in this like jumpsuit jacket thing, like just incredible. So me and Tom were just like, this is the best thing ever. Like, this is so great. And it was just so much fun. And so we had gone that one time, and then like maybe a year and a half later, just on a whim, like the next party or next get together that our team had, we decided to go to Mickey Finn's again there in Libertyville, and she was there again, and it was like, this is crazy. And we went up to her and talked to her, and she was like, I haven't been back, very often. And it was just how it happened again that we saw, Pam, and it was just always so much fun. And I think you were saying, Rock, that like he just wanted people to be entertained, and he just wanted people to be enjoying themselves and having a good time. And like, were we good singers? Absolutely not. But like, we didn't care. Like, that was, never on our mind. It was just having fun with it. And he was such a good, sport about it, and just loved the passion he had for some of the songs and stuff. And, there, right after, like, some of those songs, like, I didn't want to hear those songs, but, now I kind of want to hear them. And, when I do hear them now, it's not so much sad, but it's a nice reminder.
I hate that I've cried to Creed now. I'll never forgive him for that. But it's his, he loved going out there and singing some Creed at karaoke.
Yeah. Yes.
It was funny that when Thomas was telling about his office experience at Planet Pharma, I was like, well, what's it like? He's like, well, he goes, we're out in Deerfield. He goes, everyone's kind of older. He goes, and they're all trying to push me to go to this downtown office where all the younger people are. And he's like, I kind of like these older people here. He goes, it just kind of works for me. He really did. He really enjoyed all of your guys' company. And, he was a little bit of an old soul, I would say, Thomas, in certain ways. He, he was, it's weird. He was immature in some ways, but very mature in others. And, he had a really good work ethic his whole life. He always, from 15 on, I mean, he went and worked, and he worked at this restaurant by the house. And when they weren't busy, he goes, the guy's got me in the back behind the restaurant sanding tables. He's like, I don't know if this was a job description. Can you hear me, Michelle? Yes. He's like, I don't know if this is in my job description. I was supposed to be like helping out at this restaurant, but he goes, now this guy has me sanding tables down. And then what eventually happened at that place, the guy's adult son worked there. And I guess the adult son was, I don't know, he was screwing up the cash register, or he wasn't the most honest guy. So the owner, his father, said, Thomas is the only one who can run the cash register when I'm not here, not his own son. So Thomas, at 16 years old, was running the cash register at this restaurant, and he wouldn't let his son do it because he didn't trust his son. That is, yes, and that's where his love of shawarma began too, because that was the restaurant.
I remember that like that guy opened up his own restaurant in Orlando at a point or something, and he had us go out there and try that guy's place. Like that really did ignite his shawarma love.
It totally did. It totally did.
But it's funny you say that, Tom, because I always think when I think about Tom, is I think about like what a strong moral compass he had, and his own like he knew what he thought is like right or wrong. And I remember thinking about this one time where when he worked on for us EMT, and he would talk about how they'd be going through and charging these people who were on these who were on the rides there, going back and forth between the nursing home typically, that they would charge them for all these different things. And so he would brag to me about how he wouldn't mark down like anything beyond the like bare minimum because he didn't want them charged for all that extra nonsense. He's like, oh no, if I can get away giving it to them for free, that's what I'm gonna do.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
He was always knew what he had his moral compass, and he was loyal to it. He was going to make sure that he followed through, never did anything that he couldn't approve of himself.
Nick, so on those like so looking back at like as a recruiter, like we're taught to look back at people's job history. So like looking at Tom's LinkedIn, like he was an EMT, he's helping people. He was a tutor, he's helping people. He was a recruiter, he's helping people. He's helping people in all these jobs that he has. And one of the things that I think he was most proud of at Planet Pharma was he had a person that didn't have a GED, and that was a requirement to get into the job that he had found for this candidate. And so he was like, well, how do I get this guy to get his GED before he can start? And so he found a resource that he was able to get this guy into a class, got his GED in like the weekend before he was supposed to start in that new role. And it's like that little thing, I mean, that's going to change that person's life. Like the amount of jobs that had opened up for that person. And so just like he just cares so much for people. And like that's again, seeing through his job history as basic as it is, you know, looking back and what he did. I mean, that's what he cared about, and that's what he loved to do, is just help people.
So Dan, just to jump in real fast, that guy took the job for 3 weeks and then couldn't get to work after that. But what you're saying is super valid. Tom helped that guy like actually go take his GED. Guys, like what we do as recruiters is rough. Like we have to coach candidates sometimes to like put your pants. Do you want to put your pants on in the morning and go to work? No. Do I? No. Right? But do you have to? Yes. And you know what Tom did? Tom was that like number one motivational cheerleader and was like, go do it. Go do it. You got to go get your GED. Go do it. And literally motivated this guy who didn't have his GED to go get it. And the guy literally texted Tom after every course and was like, just completed my math course. Nailed it. Writing, nailed it. Science, not sure. Literature, maybe. And then like came out and was like, got it. And I'll never forget, he messaged Tom and was like, my dad told me he was proud of me for the first time ever getting my GED. And like that is one of the craziest stories I'll ever take away from recruiting. Did the guy like actually last? No, he was a scumbag. He only worked there for like 3 weeks. But like what a sweet story, right? Like the guy's dad literally told him he was proud of him for the first time ever.
Wow.
Crazy. Like the shit that we went through and that we do and with recruiting and just like dealing with people is so nuts. And Tom was just like always there for just like the ups and the downs and can navigate it. You'd have been really proud of him, honestly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I want to share the picture of Pam because I think you guys will. I hopefully this is how I share my screen. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Not yet. No.
You cannot. Do you see the green
I don't know how
share
to do
button
this.
down at the bottom?
Not yet.
You think I would know how to do this since oh, here we go.
There you go.
Here we
This
go.
is Pam.
Yeah.
This is Dan.
Oh, that's Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was her outfit for karaoke. Like that was
Every
what she wore. And
week. I don't
and
think she washes it.
I mean, so she has a YouTube, or she did at one point. We found her YouTube channel.
She still does, yeah. I found.
Oh my gosh! And Tom, me and him, we spent an afternoon just looking at all these videos that are terribly like produced or photoshopped, whatever you want to call it, like just horrible.
They're
picture
in front of like a
video
green.
quality, and just like oh, it's so bad.
That is not what I pictured.
But hey,
she's
Tom
unique.
didn't care if a person was into karaoke and they were entertaining. He just loved that they were having a good time. It reminds me, and I think I know Farron has these videos, and I'll make sure it's shared in the Dropbox, and I'll share it with you all too. But we have videos of him. There was this when we went to Detroit. There was this black guy walked in, and he was like with a very fancy party or anything like that, but it was clearly for his birthday because this guy loved karaoke, and he was like, all dressed up in this crappy little outside of Detroit karaoke place because some people at a bar told us it was the best place and it was awful. And Tom is, by the end of it, Tom's just over here like loving on the guy and singing every other song with him because the guy was all in on karaoke. And that's Tom. Is if you loved karaoke, oh, he was right there with you.
So I'm curious, Tom, do you have that in you? Like, are you the karaoke guy, or is Michelle like, did he just pull that out of nowhere?
Oh, I have been known
Yeah,
to
there
sing
you
a
go.
couple songs, but no, I didn't have the passion for it that he did.
Yeah.
I
Did you
would
get to
sing
see him do it much?
Blackwater. I would sing Blackwater by the Doobie Brothers. It was like a nice, easy one to sing.
Okay.
But I didn't have the passion that Thomas did for it.
How many did you get to see him do it many times? I say it was always with his buddies or whatever, but I don't know if you ever got the privilege to see him.
Well, there was a play, Jets by the house Brock knows of. They would go, and I saw him a couple times there. And then when Brock and we were in, I think it was for my 50th birthday. We were
Boston, right?
in Boston. Yes. And those guys, and Brock and I and Thomas went out.
Oh,
And
that
we
was
ended up going to a karaoke place, and they're like, oh, you have to get there was some crazy drink. What was the drink, Brock?
there was like a Dragon Bowl drink that you were supposed to have. And I
Yeah.
remember because we tried to get you to have some and you had no interest in having
No,
it.
I was like, I'm not drinking this thing. No, no, no. I don't even know what's in the damn thing. It was crazy, but we did. We had a fun. That was a fun night too, Brock.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a great time. And I mean, karaoke nights with Thomas, it's like always were so fun. I felt like it always led to like some different adventure because like that was just Tom. It's like if you went out with him, like he was always looking to have a good time, and so you really never knew where the night would take you and what you'd end up doing. Because
So
like,
that second night, Carly had taken us to this island bar that was in Libertyville, just like right across the street, basically. And of course, there was a guy that came in that I'm a Michigan fan, and like there was an Ohio State guy wearing an Ohio State hat, so immediately I hate him. And then so I told Tom, like, look at this asshole. And so he went over there and he started talking, and they started talking, of course, football and stuff. And he just kept like Tom just kept elbowing me. This guy has horrible takes, and like, what is he talking about? And just like the passion that he had to debate people on anything football related is it was just so much. Yeah, it was so great to hear him just go back and forth with that guy. But
oh, he loved arguing, and he loved nothing more than running into somebody who had horrible opinions about sports. That as long as they were into the arguing, oh, it was so entertaining. That was like when we were there for alumni weekend. The Sunday after we had done the alumni weekend stuff at Rollins, we went out and there was this guy who he was a big Falcons fan, and he would take just the worst takes ever and argue them into the ground. And Tom was so upset that he didn't get that guy's number just because he wanted to be able to argue with him about sports because he was like, oh, that guy was great. He was like, he's going to take the opposite opinion of whatever you take just to make you defend your opinion. And he loved it because he loved arguing about sports. It was honestly probably a true passion in life.
So true.
Oh yeah, he was such a big fan of of that or a good argument in general. I remember also during alumni weekend we ran into this guy because obviously you all saw Tom after those college pictures. He got very into lifting, and so we ran into this guy in a bar in Orlando, and we're arguing with him because the guy's saying that your legs have no impact on your bench press strength. That like legs drive is not a factor, and Tom and I had the best time arguing with that guy for like an hour about bench press form because for Tom it didn't matter what it was. He loved a good argument. I honestly think that's why, even though they were an unlikely roommate pair in college, Tom and Farron, why they were like lifelong friends because like the arguments they would go back and forth on when Tom would argue how Julio Jones was better than Randy Moss was like just a tradition that he loved to have.
That was first of all a terrible opinion by by Thomas, but the best was we were in Tampa. It was me, Brock, Jack, Tyler, and Rob. I think that was it. Let me know if I'm missing anybody, but we went to Bucks Ravens game on Thursday Night Football there, and we walk up to this guy who's wearing all red Julio Jones like massive face on his chest, like celebrating this guy. And Tom's like, "Oh, I'm so happy I saw one guy with the jersey," and he goes up to him and he's like, "Yeah, my man, like so excited to see you, like let's go Julio, all this other stuff." And I walk up to him right behind him and I said, "So, do you think Julio is better than Randy Moss?" And the guy says, "Fuck no." And Tom gets miserable, all sad, like just like after yelling us in the parking lot or whatever for the entire 3 hour tailgate we were there about how this year, the one guy that liked him that was in the entire arena didn't take his side, and he was so upset. And I really, really appreciated him, being wrong publicly for once in his life.
I'm pretty sure Tom was the loudest person in that stadium, by the way. He was so passionate about watching Julio Jones and just he loved Florida, by the way. This is something that I didn't find out till later on. So it was so cool to know Tom, college, all the way till now that we're in Planet Pharma kind of brings it all together. But um it's just amazing how Tom just never changed. He was so unapologetically himself. He could be in front of 60,000 people running up and down the stadium, and he would just be yelling about something that he was so passionate about. He was letting people know at that stadium that if what was the rule? If Julio Jones scored a touchdown, or
no, it was that if the Buccaneers scored 21 points or more, and
that's what it
Julio
was.
Jones caught the touchdown to hit the mark.
I'm pretty sure nobody in that stadium knew this.
And nobody cared either because the game was over by the time that touchdown was scored.
And it just so happened that Julio Jones, of all people, scored that touchdown. And I'm pretty sure I've never seen Tom happier than that moment. And he just rips his shirt off, starts running down the stairs in the stadium. And the next day, with the joy that he was going to go to Busch Gardens and ride like a ton of his favorite coasters. And I think that trip was probably when I realized like Tom is 100% was one of my favorite people. He was able to marry being an adult with being a child. It was just like he loved life so much. So we go to this football game, had an amazing time. The next day we go to the theme park, act like children, and it was perfect. And I mean, these moments that we have with Tom are so like it has happened again in several instances. We did another trip in Pittsburgh where I really wanted to ride a funicular that there is in Pittsburgh, and nobody else wanted to do it, but Tom was totally up for it. And we dragged Brock onto it, and it's just like it's so Tom. He wanted to like milk everything out of every single day. Um, and there's just so many stories, but it's just cool to hear how he was able to share this from when we met him when we were teenagers till, and hearing these stories from the Planet Pharma team. And there's definitely a side of Tom that I would love to hear more stories from Planet Pharma team because it's so interesting to hear him. He didn't really share a lot of that with us. So when Farron joked about like, what did Tom do all day? It's like literally, we were like wondering what he's doing all day. So thank you guys, and it's awesome to meet you guys. I met some of you guys because of the football punishment I had to do. So I think a couple of you guys I saw on while I was at McDonald's for 12 hours doing my punishment. So. And actually, that might have been the second
Harley and Tom
happiest
were
I've
like
seen Tom.
going through like trying to do all the math, like trying to figure out like, all right, like why isn't he just housing hash browns right now?
That was the second happiest I've ever seen Tom, I'm pretty sure. It was when he saw me sitting in that McDonald's for 12 hours. So yeah.
Rob, we FaceTimed for a little bit. That was crazy.
Yeah. He was calling in and checking in on me to make sure that I was doing my punishment properly. So he
And
was
so were we. We knew about that punishment for the entire season. So I'm happy that you actually followed through with that.
the only fight I got with Tom was the year before. He was worried that I wasn't going to do the punishment for the year before, which was doing a photo shoot calendar where basically everybody in our fantasy league would pick a picture for me to reenact. And the month before the punishment was due, my wife had literally just done a maternity shoot. So I basically was getting pictures from all the guys to do this, but Tom was so worried I wouldn't do it. And like we actually argued about it. I was like, Tom, I'm never gonna, not do this. And I remember thinking like this is probably the only time I've ever gotten into a fight with Tom. And but he was just so passionate because he wanted people to be like really sticking to their guns, and he was so I think he was actually really proud of me when I did that. And it was like something that I was obviously not proud of doing, but it was funny to just think about that now, that moment where I was like, I actually think we were kind of fighting about that, but otherwise it was like Tom was so, I don't know, there's just so many moments, little moments like that where, yeah, I'm never gonna forget them.
So I
So
just
it's
I'm sorry.
so
Go for
funny
it.
seeing like pictures of Tom from college with short hair because I only knew Tom as the guy with the long curly white man fro at work, and we actually have like my boss, my senior director, is bald, and this man would always give Tom such a hard time with cutting his hair. Hey, why aren't you cutting your hair? Why don't you cut your hair? You look like a slob. Just like, I think more you were kind of jealous because he was rocking full curls and this man has just got nothing.
That's hilarious. I just want to jump back very quickly about what Rob said about the incline at Pittsburgh. So he left out like a major part of the story, which is one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. I feel like some people have heard this on the call, and if you haven't, you should hear it. In Pittsburgh on the Friday night when we fly in, he had stopped drinking just for quite a bit, and he was like his tolerance was very low, so he wasn't doing much. And I remember showing up late, like a couple hours after they were at a bar. He was the loudest person there, whatever. We go to another bar and down by the main downtown area of Pittsburgh, and then this is Rob, Brock, Jack, me, and Tom. Tom, we're at a bar for I don't know an hour and a half. Tom's like, I need to go home. I'm at my point. So he orders an Uber. Jack and I decide, hey, we're going to go to the casino. Brock and Rob go to another bar. So we are in a situation where, we're all splitting up. It's not that abnormal. We just, figure it out. Tom's smart enough to order an Uber. And, anyways, Jack and I leave. We get an Uber fairly quickly. Rob and Brock can't figure out where they're going. And they end up running into Tom like half an hour later. They're like, what's going on, Tom? You can't get home? Like what? He's like, no, all the Ubers are like 45 minutes away. And they actually did keep canceling. I don't know how we got one, but they kept canceling on him, and it was like a steep hill, whatever. So he's just like, I'll figure it out. So he starts walking up to the mountain in Pittsburgh to try to climb his way home. And we look at a map and it's like an hour walk. He's like, I'll just go from bridge to bridge and get there. And he then decides he needs to just keep going until he's there. He calls me as we're leaving, like this is probably an hour and a half later, and I hear from him say, I'm in trouble. And I'm just like, what does that mean? And Jack and I are about to leave. We're about to head home. And he's like, I'll see you at home, but I don't know where I am. I'm in trouble. And I was like, okay. Do you want us to like come get you? He's like, no, I'm good. My phone's about to die though. I was like, okay, well, what do you want us to do? And his phone dies right there. We have no idea what this means. We're just like, okay, it's probably messing with us because he's called me in the past saying we have a problem, and like he just is like just not doing nothing. So like I thought it was a crying wolf or whatever. Anyways, we get back to the Airbnb and he's not there, and Jack and I look at each other like, what's going on? Where is this guy? What happened to him? Turns out that he got stuck going through a car tunnel trying to climb up the incline through like rubble. And he was like literally climbing up a mountain. If anybody knows what Mount Washington is, look at the picture. But he goes into this like security camera people, and there's just a guy with a window in like this tunnel or whatever. It says, do you need help? And then he calls on the radio, we've got another one. And it's just a guy that calls a pickup truck, sends us to the Airbnb, and he's like, I don't have any money. I don't know where I am. My phone's dead. I'm sorry. I can't do anything. But thank you very much for getting us there. Jack and I are at the Airbnb, and we about 10 minutes after we get back, he comes in just drenched with like all kind, like it's just dusty. It's like his shirt's ripped. He's like, it looks like he'd been through a gauntlet of just anything trying to get home, and he ends up making it eventually. But this was after like him having 3 beers. So we're just like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, if you used to be able to do this, you used to be like, whatever. I'm not going to get to that, but this was just his very, very light,
lightweight phase, and he just comes back. He's like, "Man, I really got to get that security footage." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Well, this whole thing was on video." So somewhere in Pittsburgh on October 6th, I think maybe October is October. I want to say it's October 6th, 2021. There is security footage of Tom stumbling up a mountain and falling into this like tunnel against traffic and eventually gets picked up. At some point in my life, I want to be able to find this video because it's probably one of the funnier things that I would have ever seen. But him recounting
We've got to
that
find
story
it.
to us
We've got
was
to find it.
incredible.
I'm pretty sure he was really proud of himself trying actually getting up the mountain. Like he had no regrets about that moment.
Oh, he had no regrets. Not only did he have no regrets, but he like he he was like he was trying to rationalize it. He was like, "Well, I couldn't get an Uber, so like this is the only way to do it." Like on Google Maps, it said just walk, just
It
climb
all
up
made
this
sense in his
mountain.
head.
So the fact that he was okay at the time, like made it okay, but we had no idea what happened to him. And like, there's, a few things that, it's weird because when I lived with him, I would either come back into my room and he would either be doing some absolute nonsense where there's been a bunch of people playing like drink games or whatever, or he would be curled up on his bed reading a book for one of his classes. And there was no in between. It was either like went all the way to like partying, or it was all the way like being quiet and studying and like just making sure he did. So I remember like he had a poster in the room of the Wedding Crashers rules for the movie. Every time I would go by and just see him studying, I would just tell him rule number 6, which was don't sulk in the corner and cry. Because every time he would sit there studying. His bed was in the corner, and he looked like he was like in tears because he was, just bored out of his mind doing work. So we wouldn't even say the full line. It was just, hey, don't do number 6. It's a rule number 6.
That's great.
It is so funny how his tolerance fell off so much because, man, was he such a drinker in college. He loved the drinking games. We played like drunk Risk so many times where we would just be playing Risk and we had some stupid rule about every time it was your turn, you had to take a shot. And thankfully, Cassie saved us on many occasions where she flipped the board so that we didn't stay there all night drinking until we were unconscious.
I remember drinking deep into the night. We were playing landmines with Cassie, you and me, with Tom. And I remember one specific, it was like the night of one of the last episodes of like How I Met Your Mother. And we got into this deep argument about how I Met Your Mother was going to end and how every scenario, one of us hated a certain scenario and one of us loved a certain scenario. Uh, but I just it got heated, and I think Cassie eventually was like, "Okay, I don't think playing landmines and talking about this is really going to end up as like a good night."
I'm pretty sure that almost every night senior year was me falling asleep to Tom arguing with someone about something, most likely Aaron Donald. Like
He was so proud of himself when Cassie learned who Aaron Donald was because he just would continue to rant about him constantly.
Well, the worst was alumni weekend. I accidentally actually called him Aaron Donald instead of Aaron Rodgers. And I was a little disappointed in myself. Flip up, flip up.
Oh, Tom was so proud of, loved ranting about Aaron Donald. I heard that rant so many times. That foot speed.
Who did they
I was
draft
just
with
glad.
Aaron
So
Donald? Was it like Kevin White or something like that?
What was that?
Who did the Bears
Oh
draft
yeah,
instead?
Kevin White. Yeah, they drafted the
It was
receiver
Kevin White, right?
who was like a huge bust, and Tom was so upset. I remember when they had that draft, and he had
Yeah.
game planned the whole because he was such a football nerd. Game
Yeah.
planned the whole draft out, and he was like, well, the Rams are at number 12. No way they're going to take Aaron Donald if he makes it there, and then we're at number 13, and we'll get him right there.
Yeah.
And the Rams take Aaron Donald at 12, and the Bears take Kevin White at 13, and Tom was just furious.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so upset, but he was very right.
And that Kevin White turned out to be the biggest bust. I think he caught 3 passes in his whole career. It was terrible. Oh, my
Man,
goodness.
he loved football.
So I was thankful for Tom in a lot of ways, but one was like my team. So Nick Sabatini he doesn't watch movies, doesn't really. I mean, he watches shows, but mostly like the 90 Day Fiance and TLC shows. Sorry, Sabatini, to throw you under the bus, but that's all his knowledge. So I was thankful to have Tom on my team because I could make these obscure references and I'd put in our chat like I'll give you some points. Like I'll give you some points. Whoever can name this movie. And Tom always knew the movie, and he always got my references from Step Brothers to Not Another Teen Movie, that horrible movie that came out in like 2000 or whatever. But just like anything obscure, he would be like, "Yep, gotcha," and like, "Thank you, Tom, for understanding where I'm coming from." It was like, oh yeah, it's great.
His memory was ridiculous.
I mean, Dan, that carried over into the office too, with Tom and I too. We were always giving Nick slack for not watching any of his favorite superhero, Spider-Man.
And then you would get a chat with a YouTube link of like a clip from the movie. I'm like, Tom, I'm not watching that.
Yes.
Oh, the
what are we on? What are we on right
Oh.
now? Like Spider-Man 12,
Yeah.
right? Like Tom loved to tell me about that stuff. I could care less. But now, guess what? I want to go back and watch all 12 Spider-Mans.
Spider-Man, you got an old school, a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think about Jim Carrey stuff in general because man, was he such a Jim Carrey fan.
Oh,
He
the Sonic
loved
movies.
Jim Carrey. Yeah, I
So-
haven't watched them because they're kids movies, but he would
Oh,
get so
yeah.
excited. He'd be like, "Oh no, Brock! Like they're missing out. Like these
Yeah.
Sonic movies, they really let Jim Carrey do whatever he wants."
I've got a 5-year-old, and so he started watching the Sonic movies like whenever he was like 3.5 or whatever, whenever they came out. And yeah, like it's totally a great excuse because I can watch it along with our boy, and it's just like they're so funny. And he was right, like Jim Carrey just makes those movies so much better. It was great.
I love when Thomas said he'd go to a movie like that and he'd be like, "Yep." He goes, "I'm sitting there, young adult, and I'm sitting around a bunch of parents with little kids. I'm the only one watching this thing, but he didn't care, you know. He's like, I'm gonna do that."
His big thing was like in Gurney, like the next town over, like on Tuesdays at the movie theater there, they do $5 movies. So if the movie come out Thursday, if he didn't go and see it that Tuesday, he was waiting until it came out on DVD because he was not gonna go. It wasn't worth it.
And props to him for going to movies alone. Like he didn't care. He was like, I'm gonna go watch this because I want to see this movie and I like who's in it, so I'm gonna go. And like, good for you, man. Like, yeah, go see that movie.
Right?
Tom, question for you. Do you have Rose by you? Can you show her?
Michelle was over there.
Let's see.
You see Michelle?
Rose. I don't see Michelle.
You don't see Michelle?
We
Hold
see
on.
Rose. She's peacefully sleeping. Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
I do.
Don't say
I
her
think
name. Don't
you
say
might
her
just need to scroll.
I will highlight it.
Can you see Rose?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
He loved that dog so much.
Yes. So that was Tom's love. One of the biggest things that we did, like at the office, was bring boxes for Rose. So that was like one of the biggest things that I would do. Like my wife loves Amazon. I'm sure you guys have spouses that love Amazon, right? And like any box that we would get, it would just be like, nope, this is for Rose. This is for Rose. This is for Rose. And we would just bring them to the office and she would destroy the boxes, have so much fun. He loved her so much.
No doubt.
I have a video from that morning from him. He sent me Sunday at like 8 a.m. of a video of him asking Rose for fantasy football advice. And it's just, and it's like, oh, verdict, Rose hates football.
I remember. So the other, so you guys got a dog recently, like a puppy, like a year and a half ago. Did you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So he sent me
Yeah.
a picture from one of the Christmas mornings that I think it was like her first Christmas in the house. and Rose was over there with you guys, and he was like, Rose is not having it. Like she's she's not a fan of the other dog right now. So, but it seems like they're, two peas in a pod now, so that's good.
Yeah, they're best friends right now. They play until they're this tired every day.
He loved her so much. It was always like so adorable to hear like how much he was obsessed with Rose. And like he would tell me how all the time he would go into the store, I guess, nearby and buy like little toys for Rose that she'd end up tearing up. And he would tell me how the guy was so amazed that Rose was just destroying all of these toys, and how Tom just couldn't get it. It was like, I mean, these are pretty crappy. They're dollar store toys. That's not a big deal. But he had this interaction with this guy who just knew him for buying Rose a new toy all like every week, getting her one for her to rip apart.
I know if the girl who he named her after, that fighter, Thug Rose is her nickname. So I don't even know her real name, but I just know her as Thug Rose because of Tom and his dog. But I tell you, I will look whenever she's fighting next. I'm throwing a lot of money on that chick, and she's going to do it. I guarantee it.
Oh, he loved Thug Rose.
No doubt. Both
it
of
was
them.
so funny with UFC stuff because like I would always joke with him like that was the one thing in common that was the one thing we didn't have in common, and we needed to keep it that way so that we weren't the exact same person. And he would still try to send me all the UFC stuff all the time. He'd be like, "Oh man, Brock, like this person's fighting. Like, oh, you really should consider betting on this person. Oh, you got to watch this. Like, oh." He loved it.
Oh, Romero, the third round knockout, that Romero. So he got 17 and I in on that. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll throw 20. He's like, if he's either going to lose the fight, like, or he's going to get a third round knockout. That's all he does. And so I don't know how much I put on the third round knockout thing, but it didn't happen that night. But yeah, he would always say
a couple
those
times
things
for him.
too.
Like he was so excited about it. And he would love those super specific bets in general. That's like how during the Broncos Super Bowl, I know he bet on Von Miller to win Super Bowl MVP. And he was so proud of himself when it hit.
He would always go defense on the MVP, which is crazy. It's a long shot.
But it didn't matter to Tom. He liked the challenge of being able to call, and that was always his favorite thing, was watching the defense. He was a Bears fan through and through.
I just wanted to share one more story. One of the funnest things that, like, Carly, Meg, and I got to have in the Deerfield office, and Dan and Val, we got to kind of experience this too, was just like Tom's love for apples. Like Tom and Michelle, like this dude loved apples more than anyone I've ever met in my entire life. Like apples to apples to apples. But I'm going to share something that's kind of bad, and I hope we don't tell anyone. But what he would do when he would go to Woodman's to buy his apples, I know, is he would ring like the least valuable apple, the cheapest one, and then he would buy like the
Honeycrisp.
He'd buy the
Honeycrisp. He would get the good Honeycrisp ones.
He would get the good ones.
And he would scan for like Red Delicious or something cheap.
And I always joked with him. I'm like, they're going to come for you, dude. They're going to get you. They're going to get you. And he's like, no, they're not. No, they're not. Like,
we were always like, we're going to get a call in the middle of the workday. Tom went to Woodman's and now we have to bail him out of jail.
Every hour we would just hear a new fresh crunch. I'm like, Tom's eating another apple.
Between the apples and his Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Yes. The yogurt.
He would get every last drop out of the
yogurt
container. I'm like, you scrape that spoon one more time. Our office was quiet, and then you would just hear Tom snacking on something. Or he'd get up to get another Starburst.
Basically, everybody in the office tried to not be on the phone when Tom was on the phone because you couldn't hear yourself have a conversation with a candidate if Tom was on the phone at the same time. And I sat like 4 rows away from Tom, and I could still hear him in my screen.
Oh, my goodness.
So funny though. Like I would just bust his balls every day. I'm like, dude, they're gonna come for you. That they know that you're stealing their apples. They're gonna get you one day. And he's like, no, they're not. And I'm like, yes, they are. They're gonna get you. But he loved his apples. He would literally like load our fridge of like 30 apples at a time. And it's like, okay, these are Tom's apples.
Did he share any?
Uh, did he share, Meg? Carly?
I think if
I
we would
don't.
have asked, but none of us did.
Yeah, he wasn't offering.
So my dad's from Michigan, and so Michigan apples are the best apples. No, I mean that's just a fact. Like Michigan apples are the best. So we would go all the time, and so now that we have kids, we go to apple orchards like this time of year. So we've already been to two this year, and so it was always like I would always say like on Monday mornings, like in the group, like guess what we did over the weekend, and then all of my teammates all send like just apple emoji, apple emoji, apple emoji. Like, yep, you're right. And so Tom and I we bonded over the love for apples and like the best ones and stuff. And so that was one thing we had in common. Also the music, like we talked about, Creed and singing and stuff. And I was like, I grew up on Hootie, like I grew up on Savage Garden, and my mom listened to all this stuff, and like we bonded over the music so much. And the movies thing, I mean, it's just crazy how many things like will remind me. And now, some things like as little as the cars that he liked, like Honda Fit was his favorite car of all time. Like he always sent me
It's
pictures of
crazy.
the random Honda Fits, and he's like, this car is perfect. I love this car. Like this is my dream car. And I'm like, it's a Honda Fit. Like, what are you talking about? But
Right?
he just got so passionate about so random things. It was great.
It's funny. I have a funny car story because I was looking at cars this year, and I was looking at a Volkswagen, the Tiguan. So I brought it home. They let me take it home, and Thomas was here. I'm like, let's go take a spin. We drove it around, and he's like, yeah, this is pretty nice. He goes, you don't need all this stuff in this car, but it's pretty nice. And then we ended up getting the bigger one, the Volkswagen Atlas. And Thomas goes, oh, he goes, so instead of the Tiguan, he goes, you bought the bigger one. He's like, this thing's like a pontoon boat. He's like, why would you need a car this big? And you don't need all this stuff in the car. And he just gave me a hard time about it. He was funny with the cars. He said, I'd like to drive like a pontoon boat.
I got a quick story. Just going back to, it's been great to hear the Planet Pharma stuff because I only knew Tom back in college. But just going back to the party house that he and Emery and Zray had, Tom had some contention with a neighbor. I forget his name. He was an older gentleman who would call the police on this house frequently, all the time for noise complaints, what have you. And as owner of the house, Tom would go out and deal with the police as needed and whatever. But it was still annoying because it's like, let these college kids have fun. You're literally, I don't know, you're so close to a college, you should be expecting these sorts of things. So anyway, fast forward to, I think this was alumni weekend 2015 or so. I go to Fids and I link up with a couple of guys from club. Brock is there. And then Ivan and Spiegel, I think you guys were there too. We were drinking, and on our way back to campus from Fids, we passed the house, and Tom says, "You guys go ahead for a second. I'm gonna go check out the house for a second." We thought he was gonna get a picture or something of it, and we keep walking. We're walking really slowly, and then 2 or 3 minutes go by, and he catches up to us, and he's buckling his pants, and he's I guess he
know this one.
relieved himself and given a little gift to the neighbor who called the police on us multiple times. But yeah, anyway, Tom was a guy that we all respected in club. I know my pledge class truly admired him. I miss his smile, and whenever he laughed, his shoulders would always like bounce up and down. He always had that you could always tell he was having a good time with that sort of thing. So it's just been great to hear the stories from everybody.
No doubt.
I love you sharing that. I mean, I think I shared this over the weekend too with people who were there, but I was thinking about this story about one of, because Tom again would get the cops calls on his party house all the time. And I remember one time that he was having a birthday party for one of our fraternity brothers, Wes, over at the time. And Wes was invited some of his friends over, and they were partying in a very different way than Tom liked to party. Tom liked to party with drinking games and everything like that. They were like dancing on tables and like twerking and stuff like that. And Tom was like, this is too much for me. So he tells all of them, hey, the cops have been called. You all ever need to get out of there. But he didn't know the cops had actually been called. So everybody gets out of the house, and Tom's just sitting there by himself for like 5 minutes. And somebody comes, cop comes on the door, knocks on the door, and it's like, hey, we got a noise complaint. Tom opens the door wide, and it's like, hey, it's just me. It's just me here tonight, man. Beer cans all over his house, but he's the only one there. He's like, I'm of age if you want to call me. And it's just, the timing just worked out so well, and he was so proud of himself that the cop really could do nothing. But he's gonna bust him for like drinking in a messy fashion in his own house.
Yeah, I remember Thomas. He would sometimes the landlord would call. I got a couple calls from the landlord, and then I would call Thomas. I'd be like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" He's like, "Dad." He's like, "We definitely had a party." He goes, "But I'm onto this noise thing." He goes, "I know the party's got to end at 10:30." So he goes, "At 10 o'clock, I start kicking everybody out." He goes, "So we just got to start the parties earlier." And then we're done by 10:30.
He always loved finding a loophole.
Exactly. Exactly.
But he also had his own. I was reading through, because we texted for so long. We didn't Facebook message for very long. But I was reading through our Facebook message because it's less daunting than the thousands of text messages that we've exchanged. And one of them was about even though I was at Tom's place a lot in college. The one time I wasn't over there was during football games, and it's because in one football game the Bears were playing the Packers, and the Bears were beating them. I show up, and the Bears start losing, and the Packers start coming back. And so Tom
kick
kicks
you out?
me out of the house. And then the Bears end up going and winning the game. And he's like, you're never invited back over my house for Bears football.
Oh, that's too funny.
He was
To be fair, I think a lot of us would
do
do the same thing in that sort of situation. If our team was winning and then a friend came over and our team started losing, then you kick him out, and then our team won, I think we'd be like, yeah, we're not watching football together anymore. We can find other times to hang out.
We didn't watch those Bears games together, even though I will Tom, Michelle, you don't know this one, but one of the funny stories I have with Tom is so when I lived in Florida still, he came to see a Bucks game. And I know, Tom, that he told you that we like went to the game and it was a super cool, fun time. Well, that was the time, and I mentioned in that speech I gave, where they were trying to charge $300+ per ticket for a Bears Bucks, and this is when the Bucks and the Bears both sucked. And we're like, we're not playing that. So we ended up being like, we're going to save our money, went around the corner. We didn't go to the game. We went to a sports bar, walked to a sports bar. So what ended up happening is Tom essentially flew into Florida to drink in dive bars and then go to a strip club with me after the football games. And that was the entirety of what we did in that trip. We never made it to that Bucks game. Thankfully, we were able to really check that off the list later on. It was Mons, you know it.
There we go.
He was like, "Oh, I've got to get a picture of the pirate ship to be able to send my dad to say I saw it."
Is this also the trip he slept through his flight then?
No, that was a later one. When we went back to Tampa is when he slept through his flight. And I know Farron has the picture of him sleeping.
Yeah, it's funny to hear all of your guys' stories from your boys' trips because
Tom would come in the office, after those weekends, and he would say, I can't tell you guys any of these stories. And then we would ask him one question, and he'd be like, all right, well, this is what happened. He would
And Meg
try
kind
his
of
best
figured
to
out.
hold back.
Yeah, me and Meg kind of figured out that if we just like held back and didn't ask any questions, he would eventually be like, okay, I'll tell you guys.
But just a quick story, right? It was always just a quick story.
Oh yeah, always just a quick story.
I don't know where he got that from.
Let's say, Tom, do you have any? I was gonna say, I'm glad you and Thomas got to do that house renovation and stuff. I mean, that was a thing for. I mean, however, was it a year and a half you guys put into it or so?
I want to say it was like a year, right, Michelle?
It was a year.
Yeah, it was around a year.
But I mean, he would talk about that like on a Friday. He would take off sometimes on Fridays because you guys had a lot of work to do or whatever. But I am so glad that you had that time with him. I know when it finished, he was like, weight off your shoulders of, not having to deal with just doing the house together. But also, I mean, that time you guys spent. So I'm very glad you guys got that time. And I know he valued it. And, it was, like you said, it was a job, but like spending time with you, man, I know he always loved that stuff. So I'm glad you guys got to do that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed doing all that stuff with him. And, I pushed him pretty hard too. I just remember a couple times, like, I'd be like, all right, he knew I wanted to get certain things done. It'd be like 9:30 at night, da 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 da. We'd be painting or something. And he would say to me, he'd be like, Dad, I know what you're thinking. And I go, what's that? He goes, I know you want to finish this other thing, but he goes, I'm telling you now. He goes, it's like 10 o'clock at night. By the time we get out of here, it's going to be 11. I'm not starting another project. He
would
knew
tell me all
exactly where I was going,
he would tell me all the time. He's like, "Oh, my dad is a madman." He was like,
Yeah.
he decides that we're gonna finish. He's just like he's a real because he loved Gruden grinders. So he used to mention all the time. He's like, "Oh, my dad's a real Gruden grinder. He sees another project. It doesn't matter what time of night it is. He wants to be like, oh, well, we'll just finish one more."
Yeah, right. And I try to slowly ease into the other one. He's like, I'm not doing it. We're done. He goes, you can do this yourself if you want.
Do you have
I think
anything?
I just wanted to jump in real fast from Planet Pharma. So right now we currently have unlimited PTO, right? But when Tom was flipping that house with you, Tom, we didn't have unlimited PTO, and he would literally use his work's PTO to go finish that house.
Oh my God.
And he would put his time in it. I'm like, I'm a super chill boss. Anyone on this call will tell you, like, I don't care what you use your time for. But I would like casually ask, like, oh, hey, you got anything fun going on? And he's like, no, finishing that house with my dad. And I'm like, that's what you're using your time for? And he's like, yep, that's what I'm using it for.
Oh my God.
He was just such a madman with that stuff, though, because I remember when he was doing that house, he was also still Ubering, and I'd be like, Tom, you should do something fun as well. You should enjoy life. Not it's like you can't just be grinding all the time, man.
Now you're spilling the beans because as the manager, I didn't know that. So
which
a little bit different.
We hired someone that was was he out of the North Carolina office that got in trouble for Ubering on the job. Like he wouldn't take PTO like Tom would, but he was Ubering during his workday, and
he got fired,
by,
not in trouble.
Right? Yeah, he got fired because Dane Yarnell down in North Carolina found out, and he terminated. Yeah, so that's nuts. But.
He loved figuring out though. I don't know if you all ever heard this, but like he loved figuring out ways to fuck over Uber. Like find a hole in their system where he could get a ride, he could give rides and get paid an exorbitant amount for the ride because he'd find these promos and he'd figure them all out because he was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get as much money per ride as I can. And so he would be so proud of himself. He was like, oh, Brock, right now you can go to the airport and put it on. You can pick up non-airport rides at airport rates and get paid the same amount. And like all these little things that he would figure out. But I remember my favorite memory of him doing the Uber was one night he picked up these guys, and I guess Tom being Tom and always wanting to help people. They had their flight canceled, I think, to Minneapolis. And so in the snowstorm, Tom ends up they end up being like, hey, like we'll pay you to drive us to Minneapolis. You can stay at our hotel. So Tom drives these guys to Minneapolis and he calls me report and he's like, hey Brock, just in case I die, here's the location of this hotel. Here are the people I'm with, but I'm gonna sleep in these people's hotel rooms before I get back on the road to drive back to Chicago.
They were like Swiss bankers or something, right? Oh my God.
Say he wasn't working at Planet Pharma then.
Yeah, he wasn't working in Planet Pharma. My wife
No,
keeps on saying he did not Uber during work.
he did not
Hey,
Uber during work hours. It's
Yes.
at that point.
This is a safe zone. It's all good. Safe zone. It's all
Oh,
good.
that's too
But
funny.
no, Tom was always up to like different things, and I always supported that. And I always just felt bad, like that he for that house flip that you guys did, he was so proud of it. He worked so hard with you, like to do that. But he
He did.
literally like took off his time from his full-time job to
Yep.
go and like he's like, I gotta go and retile the bathroom. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, can't you just do that like on the weekend? He's like, no, my dad needs me there. Bogdan, I know all about your
Yes.
guys' like contractors. You guys have Bogdan.
Oh,
You guys,
that's the window guy.
the window guy, yes.
Yeah.
Like I
Thomas
know
had,
about
Thomas had favorites.
yes, I know about all them. And
Do you remember
just
the
the fact
guy?
that the fact that he took so much like pride in that like is so awesome.
There's no doubt about that. Thomas, we were getting rid of some stuff out of the basement, and the scrapper came in to get rid of all the metal and stuff. So the guy came in, and the guy was working like an animal. He's working us. We're all running out. And I go, Thomas, I go, I gotta see if this guy can do anything other than scrap here. I go, do you do any other work? You know, he goes, well, I could do a little tuck pointing. So we gave him a little tuck pointing project, and it was pouring rain that day. And I'm like, how is this guy gonna tuck point the side of the house in the rain? He didn't come in the house. He was outside all day. We were inside working. He was outside. He had an umbrella from like his backyard, and he opened the umbrella, was tuck pointing in between the houses all day long. He never even came in to go to the bathroom. Thomas is like, he's one of our Gruden grinders. I love this guy. Can you hear me, Michelle? Yeah.
Oh, you
So
know.
I just, Thomas was treating it like a football team too. Like, oh, this guy's one of our best guys, Bogdan, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was too funny. And he
Yeah.
helped a friend of mine's a plumber. And like some days he needed help. And Thomas is like, I'll just go help the plumber, Kenny the plumber. And Thomas would go and jump in with him. And Kenny came to the service and he was bawling. And I said to Kenny, I go, we worked Thomas pretty hard on that job. And he just started, we laughed and cried, but it was something. It was a nice accomplishment before Thomas and I both learned a ton. And you had to learn how to budget and where you're going to put the money, how you're going to get money back. It's just a great experience. And I totally agree with you. When we were done, I'm like, Thomas, you should go on a trip or something. Go. He's like, no, Dad, I'm not doing that. That's a waste of money. I was like, no, you deserved it. Yeah, that's what he did. He paid off his student loans.
He was such
Yeah,
a
and went to
go-to
Aldi.
guy.
And he went to
Yes.
Aldi.
Right. I was like, dude, do something for yourself on this, And he just
ate the same meal every day of grilled chicken and rice with
yeah, right. And he loved it. He loved every minute of it. Then
That's
you
the
guys
other
got him a
similarity I
t-shirt,
have
right?
to. I'll do that. That's my same lunch. Like I'll have that 5 days a week. I'll heat up my rice. He gave me shit because I didn't know how to make rice well. And so I just kept like I would show him my picture of my pot, and he's like, "Dude, it's just 1-to-1 ratio." And he'd like tell me all these things like how to make my rice, and I just couldn't for whatever reason. I just couldn't get it. It's so stupid. So finally, my wife bought me a rice cooker for one of our anniversaries or Christmas or whatever. And so still to this day, I mean, I have it every stinking day with Frank's Red Hot sauce, and that's just my lunch. So that's
Oh
just
yeah, he
another
liked the Franks
similarity that I
too.
have with Tom.
Oh my goodness.
But I'll tell you what, I was the number one advocate for Tom to flip that next house with you. I sat there with Tom every day, and he's like, he told me about it, and I'm like, you got this, you got this, do it, do it. And he's like, I don't know. And he ultimately, like, obviously didn't want to do it, but I was pushing him. I'm like, and I told him the day that like the first house sold, I'm like, your dad is gonna message you again and say, let's do it again. We're gonna do it again. And I said, I can't wait to hear about the second house, and I'll be here to support it.
And oh man,
No
it was
doubt.
so funny seeing him use those skills later on and be so judgmental of like the grout work that was done in a certain place. He'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, that's grout work. So I could do way better grout work. My tiling's way better than this."
Thomas was good at the tile. He really
He
was.
loved
That
the
was one
tile
of
work.
his.
He loved the tile work.
Yeah, it was like
He
a
was doing
so
a
many part process, and he was good at that. He was good at doing stuff like that. Like when there was
he
a
was
bunch of
doing
steps, he knew them, and we got to do this, we got to do this.
he was
He
doing a
was very good.
backsplash. Most recent project, I feel like he was doing a backsplash in the house, and he sent me pictures of that, and I was just like, I'm in awe because I tried to do a bathroom once, and I was like, never again. And he was just doing all these things by himself, and it was just great to see.
And you guys know, after we did that, he came back and we did the bathroom in my house, and then we added a bathroom upstairs too. And he's like, "Dad, I told you I was going to do this, so this is what we were going to do." And right after that, we did that. And I know he's like, everybody at work thinks I'm nuts, but then we were at it again.
Well,
Like we
there
were
are other
wishing
reasons, but yeah.
Yeah. Most of
we
those
were
are
wish
probably from being my son.
we were wishing Tom a happy birthday, and we were like, "What'd you do for your birthday, Tom?" And he was like, "Just tile." Like, and he was totally fine with that too. Like that was just we were like, "That's
Oh,
great. That's your birthday tile."
oh my goodness. Yeah, because once you set the tile, like you only had, it was like you had 48 hours to grout or something like that. And he was very strict with that. He's like, all right, it's either tomorrow or the next day. I don't care, but we have to grout it. I'm like, okay, all right. Oh my goodness.
And that's where you guys found the night helmet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
he had that on his desk. I wasn't there at Planet Pharma yet, but I know Meg and Dan were.
He's like, I'm gonna take this to work. I'm like, what do you do with this at work?
He filled it with Rumple Mints.
That's what I heard.
But I don't think he ever, I think there were probably 2 shots taken out of it in years.
No
Yeah,
doubt
I feel
about
like
it.
he never actually took shots of it, but he talks about it all the time about how he's gonna make you all take
Yeah.
Rubbleman shots with him.
That he would offer, and we're like, we're good, thanks.
Oh my goodness. Thank you guys all for sharing. I mean, means a lot to us. Really, really does.
Well, really, thank you both for being here. And, again, I just want to, reiterate that, I've, you know, really thankful to have loved Tom and had him in my life. And I'm going to make sure to continue, thankfully, I showed him I was a great friend to him in life, and I'm going to be a great friend to him now by supporting you all however I can. And, I know that many people on the call feel the same way that, however we can support you all through this, we want to. I, can't imagine how hard this is for you all. And, we're going to make sure that Tom's memory lives on because he was such a great guy and meant the world to me.
So much.
Thank you so much, Brock.
And all I keep thinking about is
Next year,
especially-
everyone is welcome.
Yeah,
That Bears game.
where everybody come out for the tailgate. It would be awesome to have a lot of people. And I keep thinking about two things that Tom and I talk about all the time. One, is if you talk about Tom, Tom is all about talking about Skynet coming to take over the world, and that's where all the AIs are leading. And whenever he was making jokes about the future, he'd be like, "Oh, well, Skynet's going to be in charge by that point anyway. Like, we'll see if I make it past Skynet." And then
He was literally making that joke in like 2013. Like that was.
He loved the Terminator, man.
That's too funny.
But then he also, we used to always joke because he loved Seinfeld. So we used to joke about Seinfeld references all the time. And one that we used to joke about all the time was that one episode where George is talking about, leaving on top. And it doesn't matter, like if you say something good in a work meeting, then you just get out and you leave out on top. And obviously, like I wish, like everybody on the call, that we had, more time with Tom, but he went out on top. He went out, with that long hair he loved, after having a great summer with multiple concerts and getting to, hear Darius Rucker and, getting to watch football, the thing he loved. And I know that, I imagine that morning he, went for a lift and was coming back to watch football. And so I know he was ready for an exciting day. And, I'm glad that he had such a good summer leading up to it. And I'm holding on to the fact that Tom went out on top. He went out at the right moment. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And, just reiterate my ask that, if you have stories, if you have photos, thank you so much to Planet Pharma team for already sharing that book. But if you have anything else, please feel free to send them to me. I know it can be hard going through that old stuff. I haven't gone through my text messages with him yet because it's so overwhelming. But just so you know, I want to give that book to the Byrnes before the holidays. So if you all could go through anything you have, even if it's like a screenshot of a message you have with him, a picture from a timeout, a story, anything you can, please try to get it to me by early to middle November, so that I have time to edit and put this all together for them, because I want to make sure that you all have that book for the holidays to be able to honor the amazing life that Tom led. I just want to reiterate that we're here for you and support you all through this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brock. And everybody on the call. I mean, I think this is good grieving for all of us, truthfully. Just expressing ourselves and just sharing. I think it helps. And thank you all.
You're welcome, and thank you. And again, and thank everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. And if you have anything, please let me know. Or if you want the contact information for the Byrnes, please let me know. And, I know that, I will try not to annoy you all, but you definitely will be continuing to hear from me quite often to, whether it's about the Bears or just anything in life. And, going to continue to be a part of your all's extended family as, we continue on, because, it'll be a great way to continue to show my love for Tom. So appreciate you, and thanks everybody for coming out. And I look forward to seeing you all in Chicago for a tailgate next year.
No doubt about it.
Brock. Thanks for putting this together, Brock.
Yeah, thanks, Brock. Thanks, Tom. Thanks,
everyone.
Michelle.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.